Joining me now, ranking member on the House Ways and Means Committee, our very good friend, Congressman Kevin Brady. Good evening, Mr. Brady. Thank you for helping us in Texas. So I don't know, did you hear Hillary Vaughn's wrap up, Kevin?
Yeah, there's a couple things going on here. One, I predict that the tax increases from the tax and spending bill will wipe out any economic growth from the infrastructure. I think America will become a net loser economically from those two bills. But secondly, I predict the CBO will not come back showing that the tax and spend bill is paid for. I think the IRS numbers will fall far short. The drug pricing numbers may do that as well. And I predict Democrats in the House will be scrambling for either more revenue, less spending, or more likely, Washington, more budget gimmicks.
Yeah, Kevin, just walking through this list, I mean, you got to, I think all of us give Senator Manchin some, credit for making this honest. But the Hyde Amendment could be a game stopper. I thought, Kevin, the immigration stuff was already tossed out by the Senate parliamentarian, but the House people put it back in.
Yeah, so they've been trying to turn the Rubik's Cube, hoping they can find some formula that works for the Senate parliamentarian. But as you and I know, that Byrd rule is a pretty tough one. The dollars that they've set aside for this immigration, $100 billion, far outseeds the policy, far outseeds that as well. So I'm like you, I'm very skeptical that passes the rules.
And then you've got family and medical leave, which is a big ticket. And then you've got the various child care allowances. Now, those are going to cost a fortune. Kevin, let me ask you this. Down through the years, when you were chair of the Ways and Means and I was engaged in this stuff, scoring this stuff is tricky. The CBO, do you think they're just going to score these big entitlements like for 1 year or 3 years, or will they run their own policy baseline out 10 years to tell the real truth?
Yeah, as you know, when they're putting the baseline together, they tend to assume that spending will continue in the baseline for the full 10 years, but tax cuts will expire. It's something we've always disagreed with. But if they continue with that approach, they've got to give more of a true estimate. And I think from that standpoint, this tax and spending bill is a deficit blowout. And I say that because if you just look at the tax portions of this bill, this massive spending bill, the first year is really the true cost. That runs $120 billion deficit. That's in the red. So if you look at the true cost of this bill, just on the tax side of it, the tax increases and the tax spending, you're more than $1 trillion in the hole over the 10 years just from that part of the bill.
Yeah, and of course, Penn Wharton Business School scored it at $4 trillion. Kevin, quickly, November 15th, does that day have any meaning for you on the House side?
Well, I think that was the day we kicked off our Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, but I may be wrong, Larry.
That's great. I'd stand corrected. That was Pelosi's date for this monstrosity bill. But that's very funny. That's very funny.
I always think about when we cut taxes, grew the economy, dropped poverty rates, and started to shrink income inequality, everything the opposite from what this president and Speaker Pelosi is trying to do.
Well, those are wonderful thoughts, actually. I'd rather kick those thoughts around than some of these other thoughts. Kevin, you can have all the rhetoric you want about millionaires and billionaires. The people who get hurt when those investors and those successful business people are penalized, the people are the middle people and the lower income people and the minority people. That's the real story there.
It is, and we proved that to be the case when we allowed businesses, families, and small businesses to keep more of what they earned and then create incentives to reinvest back in their business or in their community or in their growth. Look what happened. It was the poor, it was those low income and few skills, blue collar workers, all of whom saw massive wage gains far beyond, in some cases, far beyond 77 or 80% more than under Obama, Biden. So we know when you get the tax code and growth right, it helps blue-collar, middle-class workers.
Wonderful stuff. Kevin Brady, Texas. Save America, Kevin. Kill the bill, please.
Yes, sir.
All right. Talk
Thank you,
soon.
sir.
Thank you.